What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be giving our thoughts, opinions, and overall reaction on Royal Rumble 2025. So let's start off with the Women's Royal Rumble match. What do you think about this match?
Well, there was a lot of expectations for this Rumble. You were thinking Asuka, you were thinking Jade, but I mean, you're not gonna get all the returns. You're not gonna get everyone you want, and I feel like they still delivered on returns. They did have about 10, like we have discussed, and there was a bunch of NXT people. They
Hmm,
showcased them really well, especially Roxanne Perez being runner up
definitely.
and placing third. And I mean, for a second I thought she could actually win it. I thought they could have pulled the trigger, but of course Charlotte Flair was gonna win.
Yeah, well, I called it from the start. Roxanne Perez, the Iron Woman. Who'd you say? Liv Morgan.
Liv Morgan,
It's not a bad show, but
second Iron Woman.
yeah, but I knew it. You know what I mean? I see these type of things. I have an eye for these type of things. You know. What do you mean?
You like Ludwig and Trick.
Yeah.
Ludwig. Oh,
All
well,
right. Before
well
we
for the
continue,
men's
no, no,
rumble, we'll
no,
say
no, no,
that.
no, no. Before we continue with reviewing the Women's Royal Rumble match, right? Put in the comments which two wrestlers are better, right? You got Ludwig Kaiser and Trick Williams. That's the people I like. Or Giovanni Vinci and Carmelo Hayes. Being 100% real, it's Ludwig and Trick, right? Even Ben right there. Even Ben right there. Who'd you say, Ben? Ludwig Kaiser and Trick Williams, or Giovanni Vinci and Carmelo Hayes?
Ludwig and Trick.
Say it again.
Ludwig and Trick.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, we're gonna get to the men's Royal Rumble, but Camilla Hayes and Giovanni Vinci combined time had more than Ludwig and Trick combined. So
Oh, Giovanni Vinci wasn't even there.
I think Carmelo Hayes alone had more time than Ludwig and
Yeah,
Trick.
well, he was the first eliminated. But anyway, let's get back to the Women's Rumble. We've completely sidetracked there. I thought it was a good Rumble, right? I don't think it was as good as last year's Women's Rumble, but I still think it was good, right? It started off really strong, like unbelievably strong, with 1 and 2 Io and Liv, and then Roxanne, and who was fourth? Like I don't even remember, but we got like Lyra and Chelsea coming out early, people like that. I can't even remember all the entrants like back to back to back, but we got a ton of surprises too. What's so weird about the Women's Rumble is even though there were still a ton of surprises, there was I think 10 surprise entrants if you include NXT. It still feels like it was missing someone. And like I've said to you earlier, I think it's either Becky Lynch or Jade Cargill. I have no idea where they were. One of them should have been there, and it definitely I think should have been Jade, considering this whole story they've been doing of who attacked Jade that we're waiting on the reveal for. But yeah, the returns were the five NXT people were Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Julia, Stephanie Vicker, Roxanne Perez. We got Jordan Grace, who's now signed with the WWE. We got Trish Stratus, which was interesting. I did not expect that. Nikki Bella, which was great. Alexa Bliss, who got Pop of the Night, unbelievable. And we got who's the last one? Charlotte Flair, but it's a return. But obviously they announced it. But I was still counting that as a surprise return, you know. So basically 9 or 10 returns that or appearances that Women's Rumble had. So great, but it was missing just someone, and that's what's so weird because a third of the Rumble was surprises. So one thing that was interesting about this Rumble too is a lot of people, including myself, and I think you too, were expecting Io Sky to win. The reason I was expecting Io Sky over someone like a Charlotte was, I think because obviously like a month or two ago, whenever it was, Rhea and Io had that moment where they both lifted the title, and I think that was Triple H's way on telling us this is the Mania match. But from what we saw there, that might not be the case unless we have Charlotte picking Tiffany, and then Io wins the Chamber. And so that could be a possibility, but also just the fact that they announced Charlotte's return. Now, we didn't learn our lesson because they did this in 2023 with Cody Rhodes. They announced him coming back from his pec injury, and they came out at number 30 and he won. And I didn't think they'd do that for Charlotte, but they did. So there you go. I've seen some people maybe say this was the wrong decision. It's not. I don't think it's a big group of people saying this. Was it the right decision? I mean, I think there was a couple of people that would have been the right decision, but and this is one of them, right? Whether it's Io or Charlotte, I think this is one of those decisions that's right. I mean, I hope she picks Tiffany. If she picks Rhea, though, I think we're getting another classic there. You know, who do you think she should pick?
Well, I originally thought she was gonna pick Tiffany. I mean, I predicted this three,
Mm,
4 months out in advance that she'd
mm,
fight Tiffany at WrestleMania, but I've seen some other stuff. I've seen Charlotte Rhea. I don't think they'll do a rematch. I know it's like the third match in WrestleMania, but if they're doing Charlotte Rhea, I think you could even put Io Sky in there because if you are doing Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, it'd be a bit of a weird build. Uh,
Yeah,
if you have Charlotte Flair in there, someone who isn't like that a face, some fans don't like her. I mean, Royal Rumble, she was a bit face. People were cheering on her.
yeah,
But if you throw her in here, the build could be really interesting.
definitely. That's the thing. Like the Rhea Ripley and Io Sky build, I can't see that being like extraordinary. You know, the match will be amazing, but I just don't know if I see that like build going into Mania being anything special. Just I don't know. It feels weird. Like especially with them both being big baby faces right now. I don't really know unless like Io was to turn heel or something. But she's so likable, you know. And the thing is with Charlotte Flair as well. Like you said, the Charlotte and Tiffany match you thought of like months ago, and I feel like a lot of people were speculating that. I think when we watched Santi's app, he said a year ago he had Charlotte and Tiffany as a WrestleMania prediction, and it looks like it might happen. So he predicted it a year out. But my thoughts on that match, and I thought going into the Rumble, I was still convinced we were going to get Tiffany Nia at Mania because Tiffany has just turned on Nia, took the title from her, and we've not seen them really progress that story since. And I thought, right, Nia is actually a candidate to win the Rumble to then go for Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. And I really believe that this whole Tiffany and Charlotte like talk was more of a fantasy booking thing rather than a prediction. Because I think there's a difference there. You know, I feel like fans want Tiffany Charlotte more than it was actually likely to happen. But obviously now that Charlotte has won the Rumble, it's looking very likely that it's going to happen. So I was wrong there, but it's a prediction that I'm actually okay being wrong with because it's a match that I definitely want to see. I just didn't actually think they'd do it. And as well, Charlotte's the first ever two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner. That's insane. And if anyone was going to do it, I think Charlotte is the one.
She did say at the press conference it was going to be her. But speaking of Nia, she's a very dominant force. They're building her up really well,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the controversial spot, her eliminating six really strong contenders
Really
at the
strong.
same time, which included a big fan favorite, Io Sky. What are your thoughts on her doing that? I mean, I thought I liked it at the time when I saw people hate on it. I understand why, but I'm not disliking it. I'm not going to join
Mm.
the crowd. I was a fan of it at the time.
I understand people's viewpoints of like it kind of deflates the Rumble. It kind of like just gets all these big names out when you have these potential stories that you could build through eliminations. I understand that. And when you look at, I think Nia Jax had 10 eliminations in total that Rumble, which is now the record. I checked right before this actually. And I feel like maybe they did that just to get her to beat the record because I feel like the recent Rumbles they've been kind of pushing people to get the most time or get the most eliminations. I feel like it's something they're trying to do. They're trying to like rewrite history in that way. So like, should have they done this? I don't know, but it's not something that really like is that bad for me because if anyone was gonna like do that type of elimination, Nia is the perfect one to do it. Not only that, it really set up a big shocking moment because
Yeah.
it then like I said, Io Sky was my winner. So to see her go out, and not only her go out, it was like Bianca and it was like Jordan Grace, Nikki Bella. These are people that you never know that could have won the Rumble. All just go out. It's like, oh wow. And then when she eliminated them, though, who was left? Was there only the three left, or was there still a couple more?
Liv Morgan did hold on. She eliminated her like about 15 seconds after. And then
Right.
Roxanne Perez, of course, she was run up, so she
Yeah.
held on.
So the
The
final three were Charlotte, Nia, and Roxanne,
big final
and
three.
that was crazy because I was like, right, Io's gone.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, right, it has to be Charlotte then. But then again, I was thinking maybe Nia. And then obviously Nia goes out, and then it's Charlotte Roxanne, and you're like, wait a minute, Roxanne, like you never know. Like imagine Roxanne won the Rumble, and then obviously Charlotte wins, which I think was the right decision if you have those three. Like I said, Nia could have been good, but I think Charlotte's still great. But not only that, though, Roxanne does beat the record and is now the longest like running woman in the Rumble, and she's not even like on the main roster. She's an NXT wrestler, so that's so cool to see. So overall, the Women's Royal Rumble I think was good. Not as good as last year, but a good Royal Rumble that again was a Rumble that they didn't need to rely on legends returning. or all these women wrestlers from the past. Of course, that's great when they are there, but like it shows when that happens that their roster isn't deep enough. But it's now clear to see that they have a deep enough roster, even though they have to go down to NXT to get some people. They have a deep enough roster to actually fill out a Rumble, and it's just really cool to see. Like, because this was not a possibility even 10 years ago. We talk about the 80s, like oh times were different. No, like even in 2014, which was not long ago, like this would have never even been a possibility. No one would have even like thought of this to ever happen. So it's just so cool. Now let's move on to the second match of the night. DIY defending their WWE Tag Team Championships against Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
I thought that this match, from an in-ring point of view, it was brilliant.
Splendid.
We had brilliant tag team chemistry from both teams actually, and especially DIY. They controlled the match at the start. They were beating Motor City Machine Guns bad. They needed something, and when they got that second fall, it was 1-1. It was intense, and then obviously we had this big surprise of apparently the non-existent Street Profits, who
Finally, they're back.
thank God they're here. They've actually got plans for them. They're heelish. Their face, I think they're a bit of like a tweener face heel. They don't really care, but I think them coming back, going for the tag titles, potentially even for a multi-man match at Mania is really, really cool.
That's the thing, right? This match was great. Going into it, I think when you see these two teams, you're expecting a classic, right?
Yeah.
And I think this match didn't quite reach the classic status that it was maybe billed to be, but I think that's just due to all the shenanigans. Like, it's hard to put on a match that is like technically great when you've got all these little weird things happening. It's not to say this match wasn't good. This match was incredible. I thought that it was great. Like the first fall was very creative with Gargano and Ciampa faking the tag,
Oh yeah.
messing with the brains of Motor City Machine Guns, and then they get the fall. Very similar to how Cesaro and Sheamus did this a couple years back. So that was really cool and funny to see. And like I felt like Ciampa and Gargano were outsmarting Motor City Machine Guns very well. Like they were running around the ring, getting chased, and they go in the ring, do all these weird things. The ref was like had no clue what was going on and all that. So they were very smart. If you talk about like tag team wrestling, tag team like they planned it well. Like you can just tell before the match they were like, right, we're going to do this and this and this, and it's really cool to see that in the ring because I do sometimes think it's cool to think of like what the wrestlers would have done to like maybe plan for a match or like what's their game plan. You don't really think about that sometimes. You can clearly see that they had one going into this. The second fall, we just saw the Morrissey Machine Guns hit their finisher, and yeah, make it 1-1.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think they definitely needed a fall in this match to keep them, in this like title run or title race, you could say. And so yeah, they make it 1-1. And then we see Ciampa and Gargano get the third fall to retain their titles, but it obviously was due to the Street Profits getting involved. And yeah, so it looks like we are getting probably a heel Street Profits, I'd say. Like, yeah, we say they might be a tweener, but I think it's more just the Street Profits saying like, we're tired of being ignored, we're tired of being left off these shows. I'm hoping that's what they'll do. I'm hoping they're just like,
Yeah.
we want like gold right now. We don't care what we need to do to get the gold. We're going to run through everyone, you know? Because you see, like maybe Gargano at times trying to team with like Pretty Deadly, trying to make alliances and stuff. I think the Street Profits would be like, hell no, we don't care. Just put us on the card, give us title matches, and like we've said, I don't care. Just give us the Street Profits in any way, shape, or form. I want them on our screens because they're so good. They're so underrated. I think in terms of like how they're being used and all that. They're a brilliant tag team. And now let's move on to the third match of the night, a ladder match for the WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes defending against Kevin Owens.
Well, this match was very violent, as we could see. The amount of spots they brought out a mini ladder. They used it well. The blood. I even saw it on Netflix. It was a 15 rated. Maybe even just because of that match alone. Because Kevin Owens was of course bleeding bad. We can talk about the spot that finished the match, but like even the fisherman suplex onto the ladder with Cody, the recoil, and he just collapsed to the floor. Then you also had Sami Zayn come out. I didn't know what he was gonna do. I thought he could have interfered more, but they may have bigger plans for him. I don't know what he's gonna do. He could even chase Cody Rhodes at Elimination Chamber. I said this idea. Maybe even beat Cody Rhodes and fight Jey Uso, because what is Jey Uso gonna do? We'll talk about it later, of course, when we go to it. But yeah, very violent match, blood everywhere, and they even brawled out far into the crowd. Used a bunch of weapons, great spots. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? And it's the same case for later on in the men's rumble that we'll talk about. I feel like it felt just so personal, this match. Like, of course, we know that these two are buds in real life, but like, it just felt real. It felt different. Like, this didn't feel like your normal ladder match too. Like, they didn't care for going for the championship. They didn't really go up all that much. It was more just, I hate you and I want to kill you. I do feel like at times it might have been a little slow, but obviously that was just down to like the absolute brutality these guys were putting on each other. Like, but in between some of that, like there just some of these spots were nasty. Like it felt like they weren't holding back. Like they just were flinging ladders about each other, smacking their heads off it. Like we said, the fisherman suplex off the ropes onto the ladder was like just nasty, man. The end spot with Kevin like getting, was it power bombed?
It was Alabama Slam.
Oh, it was Alabama slammed. Alabama slammed from on top of the announce table onto the bridge ladder. The way he landed was like scary. Like, oh my god, man, that was just insane. And yeah, we talk about Sami Zayn coming out. I do think, like, I did think he was gonna have a bit of a bigger role in terms of like maybe getting in Cody's way and then having a bit of a moment of like, do I choose Kevin or Cody? And I did think he'd do something a bit bigger there. And we were obviously thinking Randy Orton could have come out, and he didn't, which I think is okay. I don't think it like takes away from the match, but it just gets you thinking like maybe, because as we know he didn't come out in the men's rumble either. Like maybe Randy's Mania match becomes a bit more unclear because we're talking about Kevin and Randy at Mania maybe, and obviously there's been rumors for like years now, Cody and Randy, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon either. So Randy Orton not being there raises a bit more questions in terms of like his WrestleMania match. And again, yeah, Sami Zayn. You mentioned Sami Zayn versus Cody at Elimination Chamber. It could happen, but how do we get there in a way like the Sammy, the Sammy like
I
kind
think he'll bring out more of a heelish side to him.
who's Sammy?
Yeah. You try and defend Kevin Owens. Cody Rhodes is you were saying about Kevin Owens. He's been a bit of a hypocrite on how Kevin Owens uses brutality on Randy Orton. Bringing out these moves, and then he basically kills Kevin Owens and stands
Yeah,
on the announce table, a bit heelish, holding up the titles in front of Sami Zayn as well.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He stood over like his dead body after winning. He was about to walk away, and then he comes back, stands over him like he's just defeated him, and it came off as a bit, I don't know, heelish, bit arrogant, especially to do it when Sammy's there, and Sammy cares for Kevin, you know. So if anything, maybe Cody goes into it a little heelish. I think with Triple H's booking recently, it's a bit more deep than face and heel. I think they're both just kind of in a way of like they have their reasons, they have their morals, and like it doesn't really matter. It's just their character rather than face or heel. So that could be the case. I do think Cody though is, you know, becoming a little bit more of a heel. You can see that the weight of the championship is definitely like weighing on him. Punk mentioned that, and this could lead to a full blown Cody Rhodes heel turn. Like maybe we do get like a Cody Cena at Mania, and then Cena beats Cody, and then that's when Cody flips, saying, maybe it's kind of like the Rock and Cena feud, where it's like Cody's now playing the role of what Cena did, and Cody's like, "You're away all this time, and you just come back in and take the title from the people that are working hard." Maybe that's what they do. I don't know, but it is interesting to see. You said Sammy could beat Cody at Elimination Chamber. I don't see that 2, 3, 4 weeks away from WrestleMania not happening. Sammy versus Jay, I don't think it's a WWE Championship match at WrestleMania. I think it's a match that could happen, but not for a world title. I feel like a Cody Drew or a Cody Seth or a Cody Punk is just much bigger in terms of like the names. You know,
I
just
do agree. Like the WWE title is, well, it is the most prestigious title. I know this world title is trying to creep up there, and fantasy booking for WrestleMania, you could have Gunther and John Cena, in the main event night two. That's a whole other story we could talk about. But fantasy booking now for Mania is as tough as it was before Royal Rumble,
Mm.
especially now with Randy Orton's still injured, and then Kevin Owens
Mm.
just busted open. He's bad. I don't know
And,
what
and,
they
and
can do.
actually, as well, they mentioned on the press conference that Cody's in-ring status is
Yeah,
up in the air as well. He might not even be able to make it to WrestleMania. Now, he will. I highly doubt they're going to like fake an injury and he misses WrestleMania, unless he's actually hurt, but I don't think he is. But it kind of raises some questions there, and like, who's he gonna fight? Who's he gonna fight? Another one is Jade Cargill. Well, if she never showed up at the Royal Rumble, when is she gonna show up? Are we gonna get that Bianca Jade match? Maybe not. It's the same with Becky Lynch. We're thinking Becky Liv or Becky Lyra for the Intercontinental Championship. She might not even be there. I was so sure she was gonna
yeah.
be at the Rumble. She's been out since about May. She's been out nearly a year. So that's the thing, man. WrestleMania after this event, you think would be clearer. So far, it actually looks a bit more cloudy, especially with the men's Rumble winner, which we're going to get onto right now. So yeah, the men's Royal Rumble match. What did you think about this match as a whole?
Brilliant. I mean, the first 10 people just all being brilliant. Carmel Hayes, Penta, Ray, all high flying, all putting up a good in ring match for the Royal Rumble instead of just a big guy after a big guy and a surprise person,
Hmm.
which was later on in the match. But in ring, I mean, Penta almost got eliminated. You could talk about that. You thought he'd
I've
hit.
not actually looked back at the footage of that. I think, from what I saw, Penta, like both of his feet touched the floor. I'll need to check that out actually, but we can just bypass it. What's meant to happen? Yeah, they played this so well. All the hard hitters, like the Romans, the Drews, the Seths, they didn't come in until like 15 plus.
Yeah,
So the first 15 guys, yeah, they were lower tier names, but most of them were guys that you know you're going to get a great match out of. Like we say, we start with Rey Mysterio. As soon as he comes out, you're like, yeah, we're getting Penta. If it wasn't Penta, it was Dom. And then they gave us Penta, and it's so hyped because these are like the two best luchadors, not in the world, but of all time, probably. And seeing them have a great match, and then Chad Gable's number three,
the
and
Luchador
he
brothers.
hates luchadors. One weird thing though is he didn't follow up on the storyline of like Chad Gable knows a guy. Remember, Dom gave
Yeah,
him the number of a guy, and he's like, "This guy will teach you the dark arts of lucha libre." They've not followed up on that yet, and I hope that they don't just drop it. And I wonder who that could be. I'm thinking maybe Malachi Black, but I don't really know if he has any ties to lucha libre. Not too sure, but we'll have to wait and see there. But yeah, those first three were great.
Carmel
Number
Hayes four.
four, Um,
Okay.
yeah. So early entrants were great. We got as well a really fun moment with Akira Tozawa coming out and
Carmel Hayes
he gets
attacking him.
attacked by, was it Carmelo Hayes? He got attacked by Carmelo Hayes. One punch to the back. Obviously, Tozawa can't really take those punches because that wasn't a crazy punch at all. But he's injured. He's in the back. He's breathing. He can't breathe for air. And then Triple H is like, well, who do we get for the Rumble now? Who do we replace him with? And it's ISO Speed, which was a really cool moment. You see him come out. He comes out with his World Cup song, and then the best guy you could have put him in the ring with there, Braun Breaker, because you know this guy is gonna f him up. They actually eliminate Otis, so like ISO Speed has a Royal Rumble elimination, like by his name, which is just mental. But yeah, and then Braun Breaker absolutely cuts him in half, and then he chucks him out. Otis catches him, and then absolutely yeets him onto the table, taking a nasty bump. And I don't know if you saw, but I saw on social media like Speed's leg,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like fat oozing out or whatever. It was nasty. I don't even know how he did that. He must have caught it on something. But yeah, he took some great bumps, and it was a really great moment. I'm glad it was cool having him in it. Obviously, I like seeing wrestlers that are active on the roster getting the spots because these people earn it. They're working 300 days a year.
Mm.
For them to just be told you're not in the Rumble, this celebrity who never is here is going to be in it. That's definitely like a killer. Like I know like that would feel horrible. So I'm glad we never got like from what they teased like Speed, Kai Cenat, and that basketball guy they were promoting. Forgot his name. I'm glad it was just Speed, and it did create a really memorable, funny moment. So yeah, what did you think about Speed being there?
Well, like you said, they were going to waste a spot. At least Akira Tozawa kind of had the moment, like instead
Mm,
of just saying you're not going to be in here. Otis was in it, which was a bit of a surprise.
yeah. I,
Then
I actually saw something. Tozawa was like, I've been with the company for 8 years, and that was my first Royal Rumble. My goal for next time is to make it to the ring, and that's pretty fun because it's like his first Rumble. He can't even make it to the ring.
because Carmelo Hayes,
No,
he's so strong.
not really.
One hit to the back of the head is just a beast. You can
No.
look at him.
He was the
He's
first guy eliminated, just so you know.
yeah. Well, we'll get on to your guy, Ludwig Kaiser. We can get onto him right now. Goes to the ring.
And what does he do? What does he do? He's smart, right? If you're actually in the Rumble, being 100% real, why would you enter the ring right away? Especially if you're in that early, right? Stay outside the ring. Go in when you're ready. Go in when you see the opening, right? What did Ludwig Kaiser do? He
Was
was
he
smart.
ready?
Well, guess what, right? It was a misjudgment. He goes in the ring because he believes he's ready. He sees an opening, right? And then, okay, he gets eliminated. It was Penta that eliminated, wasn't it?
Yes, it
It
was.
was
He
Penta.
tried to sneak attack Penta.
You know
He
what
thought
though?
he could be on his level, but no, Penta completely
Penta
switches it up.
has the momentum. Penta's the hottest prospect in WWE right now. He's got every fan behind him. He's even got all the wrestlers in the ring that like him. Those secret like him, we know it. So guess what? Ludwig, it's a misjudgment. Bear in mind as well, he's not used to Penta. He's not been able to kind of feel him out before. So obviously he gets eliminated in a couple seconds, and it's not great. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It just
matter.
doesn't matter, man. Like
Second place for the quickest Royal Rumble
at the end
elimination.
of the day, it was more memorable than anything that Melo did. So
No.
you know. And you know what? It's going to set up a Ludwig Kaiser versus Penta match on Raw that's going to be 5 stars. Going to go down as a classic, and we're going to love it. So it's a dub, you know, massive dub. Obviously, we got a couple other surprise entrants in this Rumble. Not as many as the women, but I don't think this Rumble needed the surprise entrance because of just how stacked it was. We got Joe Hendry in the Rumble. That was incredible. It's a Rumble entrant we've been expecting for months. And if anyone from TNA was going to be there, it was Joe Hendry. Such a great moment. The crowd were really great with him as well. You can like because as well, yeah, he's been in NXT for a little bit and he's in TNA, but he did get a really big pop considering that like he's never been on the main roster before.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a great moment seeing him there, very well deserved, and seeing Sheamus just kind of like
Join in with the
yeah,
crowd.
yeah, he was enjoying it. He was a fan for a second, and then Jacob Fatu absolutely splits Hendry in half, and then Sheamus was like, I was enjoying that. I was enjoying that. Why are you mad? You know? That was a cool moment. And we got AJ Styles as well. He returned after how long was he away for?
Since October.
October, like 3-4 months, which was great. And bear in mind, when he did come back in October, he was only there for like one night because before that he was away for like 5 months.
Yeah.
So this was cool seeing him come back. He comes back with his phenomenal theme song, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called. What's it called? I
I
don't
have
even know.
no idea.
He comes back with his like normal AJ Styles theme song, which I'm not actually too happy with. What do you think about that?
Well, when we went to Clash at the Castle in Scotland live, I keep on saying that AJ Styles' theme song. When I heard it live, that's when I started truly appreciating what it was, and
Mm,
then I realized how good of a song it was. And now that it's gone, I'm actually gonna miss it. I know fans don't like it when it appeared at WrestleMania, but I mean, then again, this song that he has right now is really, really good. You can't not say it's a bad song, but him getting this song now maybe means he's a face. And when he was heel, I was actually quite liking him as that.
mm. I do like AJ Styles' current song, the one he just brought back, but the one that he debuted at WrestleMania against LA Knight is just, I think, an amazing one. You know, at first you hear it and maybe you don't like it, but then after a couple listens, I realized this is a banger. You know, it's so good. I do think it is better than his current one because I just think it gets you more hype. You know, but to be honest with you, I don't care. We've got AJ Styles back. It doesn't matter what his theme song is. It's still a good one, and I'm excited to see him. You know, continue his like career because he is in the later stages. I'm hoping he has a nice match or feud. A feud would be brilliant with John Cena. We did actually see them both kind of go at it a little bit in the Rumble, but it wasn't really treated as this big like
Yeah.
face-off moment, which is a little bit disappointing. But you can't have everyone face off. We had so many big face-offs in the Rumble. You know, they'll probably end up doing some sort of face-off or something like that with each other at some point. But yeah, I'm just glad to see him back. And obviously, we look at like all the stacked entrants that started coming out. We got Roman. I think he was the first big one
Got
that
Joe
came out.
Andrew, then Roman Reigns.
Yeah, the first like stacked name that came out. We go Roman Reigns, and then
I think it was
Drew.
followed up by Drew
We got
McIntyre.
Drew, and then the guys like Cena, Punk, Seth. We had that moment where it was Roman and Cena in the ring, and they're looking at each other. The fans are going wild, and then Punk comes out, and that's when it's like, oh my, that's like the three best guys in WWE, right? They're all just in the ring right there, basing off, not to mention Punk and Cena's history, right? And then Seth comes out and without hesitation he just goes right for Punk and they start brawling. And then at that point you should just zoom out and look and go, wow, like what is this Rumble? We're never gonna get a Rumble like that ever again. Because like every name, I remember looking, there was like 7 or 8 names in the ring, and I was
Mhm.
like, every single one of those guys is a guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer, which was just insane. And then we get into the later entrants. We get guys like Damian Priest coming in, guys like LA Knight,
Logan Paul
and
being
Logan Paul
last.
being entrant 30 is a bit of an L. Entrant 30 is one that you are excited for. Who's gonna be the last entrant. And that's one problem as well I had with them confirming so many guys. I think they went into the Rumble confirming 18 men, which is a lot. And what was annoying with the last 3 entrances, in my head, I'm thinking, right, there's 3 entrants to go. We've still got LA Knight, and we've still got Logan Paul. And then Damian Priest comes out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot he was confirmed.
Mhm.
So then the last two are LA Knight and Logan Paul, and we knew who they were because they'd already confirmed them. So I knew we weren't getting any more surprises. And that's the one thing that is a bit annoying about announcing entrances. It kills some of that surprise aspect. But I understand why you would announce some people story wise, but there were some people that I just don't think needed to be announced going into this Rumble, like Shinsuke Nakamura. He did it in a promo package where he didn't have to do that. He could have just come out. It would have been a nice little, oh, it's Shinsuke, that's cool. Just these little things. A guy like Damian Priest, did he have to announce? I don't know. A guy like LA Knight, I don't think they needed to announce, but guys like Punk for sure should
Yeah.
have announced because he's like got this goal of going to WrestleMania and main event. And it's same with like Roman. I mean, it would have been cool having him as a surprise, but it makes sense. Well, actually, I was actually going to say let's go back to the Roman, Seth Punk thing, but let's actually go a little further back and look at Drew because
Oh,
Drew's elimination was a little weird, and so it was Damian Priest that eliminated him, and that was a shocker, and it came out of nowhere because it was like what, like Punk, Roman, Seth, even Cena could have eliminated him. Even Logan Paul I would have seen eliminating him. Like
yeah.
Damien, what? I know they've got beef with Clash at the Castle and stuff, but I just didn't see that. And especially with how early it was, he went out and there was still like 8 guys left. I thought he'd easily be a top 5 or 6. So that was very weird. And obviously there's some rumblings going on saying that Drew was a bit unhappy. Maybe there was someone in the ring who was trying to get their moves in or whatever. And
LA Knight.
there's a lot of speculation. People saying LA Knight, some people saying other people. I don't know because there was a similar situation to this back at SummerSlam 2023 after Drew lost to Gunther. Apparently, he like stormed out the building and he was mad. I think it was then, and I don't know. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe because there's so many like false rumors going about and all of that.
I
But it
think it's
was,
a word
mm,
now. I thought we might even have seen Corey Graves do a thing, but
mm,
having Wade Barrett there, it was like if Corey Graves didn't do his thing, if it wasn't a part of this kayfabe, then you would have had Corey Graves there. But you had Wade
no,
Barrett
no,
there.
Corey Graves thing I think was real. I think it
Yeah,
was
no,
real because yeah, it's not really turned into a story or anything like that. But with Drew, his elimination did just come out of nowhere, and it did kind of like fall flat because it's meant to be one of
mm,
those big like oh my god. It was kind of more of one of those moments where it's like wait what, and you don't really realize it until it's like wait a minute, Drew's out,
it felt wrong.
you know. And another elimination that came a bit early, but it wasn't one that fell flat or anything like that, was Sami Zayn's one. I don't know who it was, but was it?
Jey Uso accidentally
Yeah, who was
superkicked him.
it that was in the way?
Drew
Was it
McIntyre, he
Drew?
always does this.
It was Drew's in the way, and then Jay actually eliminates Sammy, which is crazy, you know. And maybe that could lead to something.
Sammy J for the WWE Championship WrestleMania.
No, but it's a weird one because maybe it leads to Jay and Cody versus Sammy and Kevin, something like that. I don't know, but that's the thing. Like with all these wrestlers, they're all like little puzzle pieces, and we're trying to puzzle it all together going into Mania. It's just weird. We have all these different characters, and we've got to all make sure they're doing something. It's insane. Let's move on to the little segment we had with Roman, Punk, and Seth because we have Roman and I think it's Seth on the ropes, right? Roman's about to get Seth out. Seth's holding on, and
Mm-hmm.
then Punk eliminates them both. Shocking, right? Because it's like 2 big names right there, 2 potential winners just gone. And then Logan Paul eliminates Punk. That's an L. It's an L. But you know what though? It sets up an incredible like 2 minutes of just brawling outside the ring. We got Seth like he basically killed Roman.
Double
The
stomp.
double stomp, that was nasty because it looked like he hits a double stomp, but like he properly like
Mhm.
digs into the ground with Roman's face. That looked brutal. And then he stomps him again on the steel steps, and then Punk and Seth are brawling, and that's crazy. And then Seth gets away. You can see him walking up the ramp, but he's mad. It kind of just gives that feeling of like, I don't know. I wouldn't say endgame, but it just has that feeling of like, what just happened there? Felt like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just all got out of hand, and
Out of control.
just it got way too out of control. I can't explain it. It just gave off a really cool feeling. And then Punk walks by Heyman. Heyman's crying on the ground. Roman's done. And then Punk's like, I think he says something like about his favorite, or he just says something about Roman and walks away. But that's what's interesting. Punk didn't win the Rumble, so his favor is definitely coming into play soon because it looks like he's going to go to Elimination Chamber. It's either Cena winning or Punk though, because like Cena's either going to win and Punk's then going to cash in his favor. Maybe we get like, oh, I'll say my matches in a second. Maybe we get that, or Punk wins the Chamber because Logan Paul eliminates Cena, and then we get Logan Paul Cena at Mania. But Cena was so adamant in that press conference that he's going to main event WrestleMania, didn't he? So maybe Cena wins the Chamber. We get Cena Cody, and we get Jay Gunther, and then Punk cashes in his favor to also be added to a WWE Championship match. So it's Cena, Cody, Punk, Jay Gunther. I think if I was going to predict, that's what I'd go with right now. Although the Jay Gunther match doesn't really appeal to me all that much right now, unless they were going to build it up really well. But for me, that seems like a weak option. What do you think about that set of matches? Jay Gunther, Cody, Punk, Cena.
Well, Cody Punk Cena is obviously a
Dirty. It's
WrestleMania
dirty.
match, and well, we can go back earlier to the Seth Punk and Roman thing. That could be the Mania main event. I don't know how you get there. Roman's probably going to be out, considering he's always out, and this time he's got an excuse for being out. But Gunther versus Jey Uso WrestleMania is it's not going to main event. I don't think it would main event. We've
No.
seen it start in its main event, and
Yeah.
Jey didn't win, but now he's adamant that he's going to beat Gunther. He probably will beat Gunther. He'll have his moment at Mania. He'll be eaten, but it just doesn't seem like a WrestleMania match
No.
considering all the people we have with Drew. Drew Gunther could be one. You have Seth Gunther, even Roman
Mm,
Gunther, Punk Gunther. Those are just better matches that appeal
yeah.
to me more.
And that's the thing we're thinking about. You could go Jay Gunther, you could go Cody, Punk, Cena, and then you could do Seth Roman, right? Because Seth was the one who destroyed Roman
Yeah, he
there.
did.
Punk then gets his favor cashed in, but then that's the thing I've always said: if The Rock's not there, Roman's match is definitely Drew. If Seth fights Roman, what does Drew do? Does he fight Damian Priest? Like that'd be great for Damian Priest, but I don't think that's great for Drew McIntyre. I think Drew deserves a bit more than fighting Damian Priest in a non-title singles match at WrestleMania. But again, it's just trying to fit everyone in. But I thought this segment of these three guys was excellent. At this point, you kind of forget the Rumble's even happening because the thing they're doing out there is just so good. And then once it ends, you go back in the ring and you're like, wow, we have Cena, Jay, and Logan Paul. That's the last three. And like when you look at those three guys, either way, whoever wins, it's insane. You got Cena, Ty and Austin. You got Jey Uso like winning the Rumble, which is just something I never thought was a possibility. He wasn't even a top 8 like candidate. And then you've got Logan Paul, which you're praying, you're like,
Yeah.
please, can he not win? Because guess what? He actually had a chance. Believe it or not, right? You're like, nah, he wouldn't have. They've given him the United States title before. Who's to say they're not going to give him a Rumble win? And wrestle at WrestleMania for the title, especially after his thing with Gunther and Raw there. So there's always that chance. You never know. So either way, that was an insane final three, something that nobody had on their bingo card. Obviously, Cena then eliminates Logan Paul, which is great because at that point it's like, right, it's Cena or Jay. Either way, it's a dub. And these two have a really good like back and forth moment. The moment where they both like get onto the apron and then Cena just looks at Jay and Jay looks at Cena and it's a realization of like, oh crap, and then Jay's trying to get in the ring. Cena's stopping him, and then all the way around. And this was just so cool. And then obviously we have a really cool end of Cena got Jay on his shoulders, but Jay outsmarts him, gets back in the ring, and then does he what? Kick him off?
He
He
just
push
pushes
him.
him.
He pushes him off, and it's so simple though. But it's the chess game that Jay just played there. He outsmarts Cena, and then Cena's looking in the camera like the realization of like, oh crap. And that's the moment he talks at the press conference how he realized he wants to main event Mania, and that's the moment there. He's like, crap. I might not even be able to main event WrestleMania, so that was cool. And Jey Uso winning. What's your thoughts on Jey Uso winning? Because this was something that, for me, came out of nowhere. Like, wow.
It did. There was a lot of people. That's like they advertised it as the most stacked Royal
Mm-hmm.
Rumble in the
It
history of
was
Royal Rumbles, and Jay winning was a big surprise. I did not predict him. I wouldn't have predicted him second, third, or fourth.
fifth or sixth.
That him eliminating Cena did cause controversy. I think just him winning in general, and the WrestleMania opportunity that he has
Yeah.
now. But I mean, they're officially pushing Jay. They're officially going
Yeah.
to give him a singles title.
That's the weird thing. There's a lot of fans online, you know, giving a lot of backlash to the WWE about this decision. And I see where a lot of people are coming from, but it's also very hypocritical because these are the same fans that back in July, when Drew won Money in the Bank, were like, why not give it to
Yeah.
Jay? Jay should have won Money in the Bank, right? I understand though, sometimes WWE push people too late. Now, I do not think it's too late for Jay. Jay is still just as popular as what he was back then. But just in this case, it's like LA Knight was in a very similar position 2 years ago, and he didn't get anything like this. It took him ages to get the United States title, and obviously it took Jay a while to get the IC title and a while to get this Rumble win. But he's still just as popular as ever. He's been able to maintain his popularity. And Jay winning, yes, of course, when you have guys like Punk, Seth, Drew, Roman, Cena, having him win is a very weird decision when you've got those names in there. But guess what? Like, Jay is someone who is on their level, not in terms of accolades and all that, but in terms of like in the company star power, he is getting there. And the way to try and get him on that level for sure is to give him a Rumble win. And like Jay is one of the best, man. Like he sells the most merch. He's like one of the most popular with the kids. You see everyone yeeting in the crowd. How can you not push this guy? Like it's about damn time. And to see him, he's won the IC title now, a Rumble winner is just incredible. It's never something I would have thought that would have happened. If you told me in 2015 that Jey Uso was going to win the Royal Rumble in the future, I would have never believed you because I would have never been able to see him and Jimmy separating. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just so cool to see this happen. It's something that still hasn't really sunk in yet because it's like when you talk about one-time Rumble winners and stuff, Jey Uso's not someone you like think of. It's just so
Yeah.
weird. Like, and we talk about the backlash. Part of this backlash, I think, maybe it's because he eliminated Cena, and that's someone who we all love, and it's his last Rumble. So having him eliminate Cena is maybe a bit of a weird one. Maybe you have, or maybe you should have had Cena get eliminated by Logan Paul, and then Jay eliminates Logan Paul if you don't want him to get that. But I don't even think it affected him. I don't think he never got booed or anything like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just some of these internet people. I think the biggest thing for me that maybe makes it an L, it's not an L, but I think one of the biggest things where I see it being an L is just the fact that we're probably getting Jay Gunther again. Yes, this match is still not, it's not like totally worn out, but it's just not something like that's very fresh. We just got it literally 7 days ago at Saturday night's main event. So I'm not the most inclined to see it, but if they build it up well, it definitely could be an interesting match, especially if Jay wins. But yeah, it's not something that's going to main event any night of WrestleMania. I think Cody versus anyone will
Yeah.
main event over it. Roman versus anyone will probably main event
Could have
over
a
it.
women's match in there as well if you could build it up
Yeah, I
well.
mean Tiffany Charlotte has main event potential
Yes, it does.
because it is kind of one of those like past versus like present type of matches. Like Tiffany is very comparable to Charlotte, and it's just a very cool match there. Like I don't know what the other like, again you got Rhea, Charlotte, someone I don't know. Again, things are still so blurry. You think things are going to be a bit more clear after Rumble, and I guess there are maybe a tiny bit more because at least we know now that Jay's getting a title match. At least we know now that Charlotte's
Yeah.
getting a title match, but it's kind of not helped us in terms of like where some things are going. So yeah, and again, no Randy in the Rumble, which weird, but I do hope he returns soon because Mania's season's starting to kick off. We never got The Rock as well,
No
which
31 entrant, which everyone was
yeah,
saying.
the Rumble 31 entrant. I don't know if The Rock's gonna be here.
I think after Royal Rumble, that solidified it for me. The Rock isn't appearing. You just had Roman Reigns do this
Yeah, Roman,
thing with him.
like Roman Seth and Roman Punk. You see all them doing that. Why would you do all that if The Rock's about to come back and Roman's gonna fight him? So yeah, I don't know. I hope he comes back because like Mania is just always gonna be better with The Rock. But yeah, man, it's weird there. There's a lot of things that like I feel like didn't happen at this show,
Mm.
which made it very weird. But the show overall, like, what are your thoughts on the Royal Rumble event as a whole? Because I feel like last year's Royal Rumble event as a whole kind of disappointed in terms like the Women's Rumble was great last year, but everything else kind of fell a bit short. What's your thoughts on this year's event as a whole?
Well, I think every match wasn't a bad match. You
Okay.
can look at the women's Royal Rumble. It wasn't a bad match. It was a good match. There was a lot. There was a lot of surprises. There was, and then the tag team match, Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. Very good in ring match. Very good tag team chemistry. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens was just personal, brutal. Kevin Owens basically died. And then men's Royal Rumble, we were just talking about it right there. It was very well structured. It was very unexpected, the winner. And I mean, you could have actually, like you said, have Jay eliminate Logan Paul at the end, because that could have maybe made for a bigger, like, oh, Jay's won and everyone's cheating, they're happy. Because if it's
Hmm.
Logan Paul and Jey Uso, you'd really, really prefer Jey Uso than if it was Jay and John Cena, you'd maybe prefer John Cena.
Yeah.
I didn't really know who I wanted to win at the time, but Jey Uso winning, it wasn't a bad thing, and it ended the night on a good tone. And John Cena giving him that hug, just saying, you're the next guy. And I think overall this show was a really good show and is in contention. Well, I mean, like, once a year's done for being show of the year, excluding WrestleMania.
I think it was a really good show. You know, 4 match PLEs I think are weird though, because like, although it was 4.5 hours, you're only getting 4 matches. So when you compare this to a 14 match WrestleMania, or maybe if they ever give us a 7 match PLE or that, it's kind of weird in a way. Sometimes less is more. It's just with the amount of ads that they chuck on the show and all the just the stalling that they do. I feel like they could always add a fifth match. Maybe not to our Rumble, but like Elimination Chamber next month's gonna have 4 matches, and I think it should have 5. But I thought it was great. Like we said, the Women's Rumble was great. Tag match, ladder match, Men's Rumble. There was nothing bad about this show. I thought it was definitely a step up from last year's Royal Rumble event, and it's definitely a good start for PLEs in 2025. So that is our review and analysis of Royal Rumble 2025. Make sure to tune into the next video, as me and Tommy, we're going to be looking at our January 2025 monthly awards. We're going to be looking at top 5 wrestlers of the month, top 5 moments of the month, top 5 matches of the month, top 5 promos and segments of the month. And we're going to be looking at our show of the month as well, and any other little fun things there. So just make sure to check out for that. Tell us what you thought about the Royal Rumble in the comments. Was Jay the right winner? Was Charlotte the right winner? Who's Jay going to pick? Who's Charlotte going to pick? Let us know everything. You got anything you want to add?
Carmelo Hayes is better than Ludwig.
He's not though. No, but he's actually not.
He literally is.
Out of these 4 guys, right? Trick is better than Mello. Ludwig is better than Giovanni. Like, there's nothing
I wouldn't
else.
say so.
Not only that, Lash Legend's better than Connie Jordan.
Oh no, 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 no,
100%. Who
no,
was in the
no,
Rumble? Who
no.
wasn't?
Well, who was a champion and who's not?
Well, who just had
Ever.
a big tag match with Bianca Belair and Naomi? Exactly.
Well, Kalani Jordan is getting pushed. He literally lost the title in a handicap match where they still had to cheat to win.
Right, but she still lost her title.
A title that Lash Legends never held.
All I gotta say is, ever since Giovanni got kicked out of Imperium, all he's done is sit at home, and then when he has been called to work, he's got his ass kicked by Apollo Crews. That is not good. And bear in mind, he got kicked out of Imperium, like, how long ago? A year ago now? Like, how long has it been? It's been ages. Not to mention, Melo's just running away from Braun Strowman every week
That's just a lie.
and
He pinned.
losing
He
to
beat
Jimmy
Braun
Uso
Strowman last time they fought.
by count out. You win by count out. You didn't win.
He's
Right?
having the matches every week. I've
Whereas
seen
Trick,
Ludwig with a guy that complains about being called Butch.
and guys,